And we're joined by Orioles pitching prospect Tyson Neighbors, coming off of an incredible year. Tyson, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for having me.
I got to start. I imagine you got to feel so good just getting through the season that you had. Really your first full pro season, but it was also eventful, and I imagine pretty taxing between the innings you threw, being traded. How's the off season been treating you, and just being able to reflect and enjoy the season that you had behind you, but also just kind of relax a little bit? And I know I'm sure you're working out and getting back into the swing of things, but being able to decompress a little bit after such an eventful year.
Yeah, yes, sir, for sure. It was I was on the run all year, but that's minor league baseball and it's a privilege to be, on the move a lot. You don't want to be too comfortable in the minor leagues, like wherever you're at. Like that's what I always tell myself anyway. But it was fun this year getting to know, a bunch of different guys, a bunch of different coaches and learn some different perspectives and things, I haven't heard of before. So I think it was good for me to maybe not be in the same spot the whole year, three different spots.
And kind of building off of that, this was a year where you probably didn't quite know how quickly you could move up. Also, starting in the Padres organization, where anyone can get moved up quickly at any time, but you also know you could also get traded. I'm sure that wasn't on the forefront of your mind, but the better you were throwing out of the gate, I'm excited to kind of get into the things that work for you. People who listen to the show know that you're one of my favorite arms to watch this past year, just with the stuff, and I'm excited to get deeper into the stuff. But as you started to really throw the ball well in high A and then get to double A and throw the ball well, was there any part in your mind where you're like, this season could end up going even more crazy than I thought between just being promoted aggressively or being traded? I always have to ask Padres prospects that, or former.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation every year, or like my goal, is to be in the big leagues, right? Like it's all cool and all to, shove in the minor leagues, but there comes a point where it's like, I want to help the big league team. I want to do whatever I can, to help the big league team. So that's always like kind of in the forefront of your mind. But being in the Padres system, and I know obviously still having buddies over there, like everyone knows like there's a possibility that you're not here, tomorrow. I mean, it's just like it is crazy because that's just kind of the way they roll. They like to, ship out prospects and get guys who are ready for the big leagues right now, like major impact guys. And, you know, uh, I kind of always got teased about it, like ever since I got drafted, like, oh yeah, you're getting traded. But it was like never like I don't know, it wasn't solidified in my mind, like, okay, yeah, I'm probably getting traded. It was just like, oh, whatever, like they're just, teasing me or whatever you want to call it. And then yeah, here I am in Baltimore. So
Tyson, I want to circle back to the trade thing in a moment, but we're also in the era of college guys, arms, bats, making their way through the minor leagues as quickly as humanly possible, like quicker than we've really ever seen in
mhm.
baseball and kind of player development there. So you say, obviously, the goal is to help a big league team, whether that was San Diego before the trade or Baltimore after the trade. What kind of confidence did you have this year that you could flirt with a major league roster? Because there is kind of a track record in recent years.
Yeah, I mean, I think people in both organizations know that I was in my head ready whenever they wanted me to be ready, right? I mean, I told them in the draft room that I think I could close the game for them that night and get 3 outs and I hadn't thrown in a week. So that's just kind of like my mindset, uh, in baseball and, obviously being a bullpen guy. But yeah, I mean, I think just continue to do what I'm doing and, keep my head down and let them play GM and all that stuff. And I'm going to play baseball because that's what I like to do. And, wherever I go, I go. But, I'm playing baseball for a living. So it's pretty fun.
You learned business of baseball pretty darn quickly at the trade deadline, and that was a crazy trade with a lot of moving parts. Like it was O'Hearn and Laureano, and then it was a bunch of prospects going back to Baltimore. What did that 24 to 48-hour stretch be like from your last game in San Antonio to your first game in Chesapeake, which is Maryland?
Yeah. So I, I was kind of like on Twitter, just kind of looking like my name because I'm like, I've all my buddies are teasing me about getting traded. Like, I want to see if there's any insight, like just kind of looking at it. And first in the morning, I saw the Mason Miller trade, and it was like, and three unnamed prospects from the Padres, and I was like, oh gosh, like I'm just by my phone, like I don't know. I thought maybe I got traded to the A's, and I saw I wasn't, involved in that trade, and I was like, okay, it was like maybe that might be it. Like we just gave away Leo DeVries, like that's that's a lot. Like I don't know if it's going to continue in that. So a few more, and then I believe this was like 10 minutes before the trade deadlines when I got traded, and I saw on Twitter like Baltimore sent in O'Hearn and Laureano, but it didn't say the return at all. Like it just said that's who the Padres are getting, and I was like, well, that's two really good big leaguers. So I would assume that's a haul. Like they're either getting a big leaguer from us and some cash, or that's a haul. So I was kind of refreshing. Then I get a phone call from our farm director, and I was like, oh, yep. I mean, we're all in the locker room, and like five guys have already got traded in our locker room, like right before we're about to go out and throw. So I just kind of like show him my phone. I'm like, see y'all boys. He's like, where are you going? I was like, I don't know, but we're about to see. And they told me, obviously, I was going to Baltimore, and someone would be in contact with me soon. But what maybe y'all didn't know is I was proposing that Saturday because we were playing in Frisco, and that's kind of where I'm from. Like I'm like 2 hours east of Frisco, but all my family, friends are around here, and her family had driven down from Wichita, Kansas. So like I kind of already had it, all planned out and everything for that Saturday, and this is Thursday. So I'm like, what in the world just happened? I knew the whole time was like, make it past Thursday. And like 10 minutes before, right? It happens. So I'm kind of just shocked initially. I'm like, wow, I just got traded. Like what just happened? The Orioles end up calling me, and I told them kind of the deal, and they're like, dude, like no worries. Like please do that.
Oh,
And
that's so cool.
we'll see you on Tuesday. Like, because I was like, dude, I could fly out Saturday night. Like, I just got to do it Saturday morning, and like I can leave Saturday night and be there. Like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, enjoy it, spend the time there. We'll see you on Tuesday. So, I really appreciated them. Let me do that. And then her plan was to come back with me to San Antonio for a week, right? And I was like, so do you want to pack your bags and go up to? I actually met the team in Akron, Ohio. She was like, sure. So drove up to Akron, stayed there that week, played the road games, and then went back to Bowie.
I was going to ask, well, what was the proposal pivot? But that's really awesome that the Orioles, were understanding that and that you were able to still make that all happen. What's amazing is in this span where you're laying out all this chaos, right, and all of these moving parts, you put together a 19 game stretch without allowing an earned run, and that includes, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 starts or excuse me, appearances in the Padres org. Then you get traded with a couple extra days off in between, as you just mentioned, and you rattle off another, I think, 10 or 11, excuse me, another 11 scoreless appearances with Chesapeake. Like, I was going to ask the question of like, how do you kind of maintain that? But just in talking to you for the last 9 minutes here, I can understand how you were able to make that transition. But can you just like explain and elaborate? Also, you allowed 9 hits in that span, 27 and a third innings, 9 hits in that span. How difficult was it to make that leap? Obviously, on paper, it looks like it wasn't that difficult, but what were the challenges to manage that? And other than your mentality, what would you maybe highlight as the reason why you were able to continue the scoreless streak while proposing, while meeting a new team on the road, and all of these different things?
I think it's just a testament to, the work in the off season. And I mean, teammates around me, there was times in that like stretch where I give up a barrel in the gap, but like Enrique Bradfield's catching a ball in the gap on the warning track. And I'm like, that should have been run, but thank you. Or like, I mean, that outfield in Bowie was amazing, but just like everywhere I was at, like defense is obviously really good, but like, you don't think about like, I mean, in the back of your head, like you're kind of shoving, but you can't have that in the forefront of your mind. Like you can't be going out there like, oh, I can't give up a run here. Like I try to shift that focus like to attack is kind of like my key word. Like I'm attacking hitters no matter what. I don't care if it's a 10-0 ball game. I don't care if I got 3 hours of sleep. or when I got traded, wasn't able to throw a baseball for 5 days. I was throwing plyo balls in the side of a hotel. Like, it's just, don't let the outside things, I guess, affect baseball. Leave that at home and leave the uncontrollables away. Like, it's game time. I've got one goal when I get to the field, and once I leave the field, relax and figure everything else out.
In life of a reliever, it's such like a concentrated environment where you got 3 outs to get. Maybe you got 4 or 5 outs to get. You go out for a second inning. I mean, you've been a reliever your entire post high school career. I was looking at the Baseball Reference page. You
Even
haven't
high
made a
school.
start. Yeah, your last start was in high school?
No, yeah, but I've only started one game, and it was in high
In your
school.
life.
Yeah.
That's
It was
amazing.
because we won game. It was a 3-game series in the playoffs. We won the first game, and I closed like 3 innings that game, and then we lost game 2. So game 3, he was like, "Hey, here you go. You have X amount. I think it was 91 pitches. Uh, you've got 91 pitches. Go figure it out. Like, this is our only chance at winning, basically."
Dude,
So I
how'd it
had no
go? Did you
routine. I
win?
picked up a ball 10 minutes before the start and was like, all right, like 10 minutes felt too early. Like, it just didn't, it's not the same feeling.
That is amazing. So I guess it was probably high school, but I was going to ask you, like, when did you learn to kind of concentrate your focus on one inning? When did you kind of learn that typical reliever mindset?
I mean, I think just growing up, like around football, like that was kind of my main sport and like where all my energy was. I mean, I put it everywhere, but like I thought I was going to play collegiate football until I was a junior in high school. Like, I got talked to for got talked to for football before baseball. So I thought like football all the way, and I kind of randomly started throwing hard on the bump, and I was like, oh, like maybe I could focus on this a little bit. And my fastball was nowhere near the zone, but I could land like a sweeper. I was kind of a different arm slot at the time, but yeah, I mean, it was just bringing that football mentality into baseball. It's kind of like that adrenaline guy. Like, everyone's always told me, "Oh, you're a bullpen guy." Like, I didn't know what that meant. I played outfield and pitched when we were up 10 or like down 10. I didn't really pitch till I was a sophomore in high school. So, um, I guess kind of learning it mostly in college. Like, I just got there and I was just angry, mean. Like, I don't know. I didn't like hitters. Like, I just wanted to, go out there and compete. And trying to tame that my freshman year was a huge deal. Like, it was tons of emotion, but you knew exactly what I was thinking and feeling out there with every single pitch. And now I feel like it's more of I'm locked in bulldog mentality, and like the negative things that are going to happen aren't you shouldn't be able to see it on my face or by my body language or anything like that. Like, go here until I'm allowed to go here. You get that third out, or get that big strikeout. Like, I'm still definitely show the positive side of it, but
What would you attribute the leap in command to? Because in 2022 you mentioned kind of just learning to harness the emotions, but just spraying the fastball a little bit. But then in 2023, I mean, just filling up the zone at a way higher clip from just a strike perspective with both the fastball, and the slider. What was there something mechanically that clicked for you, or what would you attribute that to?
honestly, it was probably a combination of things. Obviously, like, you don't go from walking 14 and 8.1 innings or 8.2 innings to walking like I think 16 and 48.2 innings, something like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's got to go right, and a lot of work that's got to be put in. But I think, um, like I kind of mentioned, my focus was really on football, and then it was also like I loved hitting. I didn't really like I pitched and I thought it was cool like when he closed the game, but like in any other spot, I was like, I didn't understand it yet. And after like fully focusing, I guess, on pitching and understanding that more biomechanics and also the analytics side, like I learned how to optimize like my arsenal. I was throwing uh, my freshman year, I kind of dropped slot randomly. I don't know why. I was like not mobile at all and threw from like up here in high school. And then as I like started to gain mobility, I kind of dropped to like a 3/4, low 3/4. And I don't know what I was doing. I think I was just trying to get outs and like throw strikes. I didn't know. But I figured out that a front foot strike, my arm is kind of right here instead of flipped up 90-90. That was a big thing. And also just, I think a lot of his mindset too. Like in high school, I could go for the strikeout every single pitch. And I threw like 80% sweepers. And like no one was hitting that in high school. So I didn't walk guys in high school. So I didn't think I had a command problem because it was like I had 5 walks. I didn't think that was bad. Like I thought that was great. And then you get to college and the guys are a lot more disciplined and you can't just spam one pitch. I'm like, I figure out real fast that, this is big boy baseball, right? So, uh, but yeah, the mindset I think is a lot to do with guys command like issues. Obviously there is times where it's mechanical, but I think a lot of times it's mindset, like not giving the hitters too much credit. You hear that all the time. It's way easier said than done. Like on the bump, you think you're facing, whoever it may be in the box that this is a really good hitter. Well, he's only probably getting on base like 35% of the time, and even if he's really good. So just learning to trust my stuff and change the mindset from, don't throw a ball to attack the zone. Um, and just kind of having that mound presence and conviction behind every pitch.
You had a ton of success at K-State. You had a ton of success in the Northwoods League as well. How much did you learn during your time with the collegiate national team? Because I've heard from a couple of other guys that is one of the best experiences that you could possibly have as an amateur baseball player. And you get to pick the brains of so many elite arms and bats with you on that national team. Who were some of the guys you leaned on during your time there? And then, overall, like how much do you feel like you grew that summer?
I think I grew a lot. I don't know if like I could say, oh, this person was like the one that helped me, but I think that's kind of how I go about my craft and always have is like taking little bits and pieces of information from everyone. Like obviously I'm not going to benefit from everything I get from every single person, but also I think I was able, like coming back from that, helping teammates, like talking to Ben Abo. I throw nothing like that guy, but like a little bit of, cues, maybe thought processes, things he does on the mound, ways he pitches to hitters, like grips, stuff like that. Michael Massey, I mean, he had the pitching lab at Wake Forest, so I was like super intrigued, like with what he knew about the force plate stuff and all that. I never, really got around that. Um, I mean, Hagen Smith, I still train with in the off season. He's a great dude, but I mean, like I said, I could go on and on. Everyone on that staff's got something, that I probably took away from them, or even just watched them and like admired them. Like I guess when I got there, I didn't even realize that like, oh, I'm also one of these guys. I was just like, this is so cool. I guess letting the moment sink in and not really realizing that like, oh, I'm kind of really good too. Like that's kind of why I'm here. So I think still to this day, sometimes I'm like, no way I actually played on that team, but it's just cool being around them. And then like now seeing them, doing good in the minor leagues or big leagues for, Trey Savage and Caglione and um, Weatherholt's like right there. Like he's going to be there very soon. And Hagen, like all of them. I'm just going to go on and on. But yeah, it's really cool to be in an environment like that because it feels like no question can go unanswered, and in baseball, you're never going to know it all, but you can sure try. And it helps when you're around all those guys.
Something I noticed kind of going into 25 was your arm angle changed a little bit, right? A little bit more over the top. Was there something that you intentionally had shifted going into this past season when it comes to the delivery?
No, I don't think so. I think like, I don't know. I think it's pretty similar to before. It just like, I don't know. There's some games where I feel like it's higher than others. And I'm not really thinking about the arm. I'm kind of just trying to move as efficiently as possible. And if it goes a little bit higher, it goes a little bit higher. If it's, I think on average, it was one of the highest angles in the minor leagues. And I think I've always kind of been there.
Mhm.
It's it's a weird slot. Like, I don't know how to explain it to guys without showing them. Like, yes, I'm very over the top, but I don't get over the top by doing this. Like, I really have a kind of sidearm angle, and I just tilt a lot. Like,
Yeah.
it's just I don't know. It's definitely unique, but I think that's kind of what helps me with providing like deception to hitters and to hide the ball. And I have really short extension, so I think it gives me more time to like deceive a hitter or fool a hitter. And I don't know.
Do you think it helps you just be able to stay behind the baseball as well? Because I think the thing that's so amazing is, I mean, I'm watching, some of your outings and you're ripping fastballs that are getting like 22 inches of vert. Is that kind of what helps you stay behind the ball and just create that ride?
I think partially, yeah. When I was in Fort Wayne this year on what's it called? Hawkeye. Sorry, we have so many different ones.
Yeah.
On Hawkeye, I hit like a 26 something, and I was like, "What in the world?" Like, I didn't even know this was possible. I knew in college, like on TrackMan, when the numbers are a little juiced, I had a couple 27s, but I was like, "Dude, this is real. Like, this is Hawkeye. There's too many cameras for this to be wrong." But I think I always have kind of had carry even at the lower arm slot, like more traditional three quarters or high three quarter. I was still getting like 21, 22 inches of carry. I just kind of eliminated the arm side run. So I kind of explain it to people like if you have a plane coming like right at your face, it's hard to tell how fast it's coming at you. If you have something like flying across your face, you can kind of gauge it and see, how fast it may be coming. So instead of having that rise and run, like especially I think it helps me a lot with lefties. It just stays like here. And it's like, what in the world is that? I'll get guys, I'll throw them at 97, they'll be out front of it. And then the next pitch, they get their doors blown off. It's like they're obviously not seeing it very well. And I think that's what plays into the deception. Like it's not super cutty, even though you would think it's perceived cut because I'm only getting, 4 inches of arm side. But I think since the arm angle is so high, it's not really that perceived cut because you get perceived cut with guys out here because they're throwing from here to there. And when it's less than 5, it looks cutty. But I think mine's just like a really weird backspin thing. But I don't have a high slot. That's what's also weird. Is like my release height isn't that high. It's like 6 foot. It's like right at average. But my arm angle is like one of the highest in the minor leagues. So I think that kind of plays something into it.
And building off that, like, we talk all the time about weird works on the mound. Weird is always going to play. And to your point, like, you're saying you're never really focused on your arm or your slot. You're kind of focused on moving efficiently. I assume that has to do with like legs and torso and just kind of everything moving down the mound at the same time. It's entirely natural to you, right? Or are there certain cues? Obviously, you just mentioned you want to stay behind the baseball and have it, kind of carry straight on. Are there other cues that you go with, or is that just your natural throw and it happens to be weird?
I think it just like that's kind of how I throw. Like, I mean, there's definitely times where I feel like I'm dropping and I'm still really high arm slot. And I'm just kind of like thinking, get out on top of it. Like, I even release the ball kind of like here. I'm not like most guys where it's like out here, kind of releasing the ball near like my head if you're looking at it from the side.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. And like you said, it works. And I think that's kind of why is because it's weird. I'm never going to have good extension, but like I said, I think it plays well with deception. I don't think a lot of people talk about it or know that, but I think it's just like all the other analytics, right? Like you either want your fastball to have tons of carry or none at all. You want, your sweeper or your slider to have tons of sweep, or you want it to be a gyro. Like you don't want to be in that sweet spot, where everybody is. And I think, obviously really good extension is going to make the fastball look really, really hard out of the hand, but that gives it, 2 less feet of time for the ball to defy gravity or
Mm.
use it to, break downward. So I get to create like unique vertical approach angles from like
Huh.
Like with my slider, like I'm getting like -10 VAA sometimes with the slider that's up to 92.9. Like you shouldn't be able to create that steep angle from a 6 foot release height, but my extension's like 5.5 feet. So it's got all the time in the world and it makes the hitter see it more. So I think that they're like, oh, I'm on it. I'm on it. I see it. I see it. I see it. I think that's why I get like more chase than probably normal on that profile. And yeah, I think like we're talking about, it all ties into being weird. Like this, it's just all not very normal. It's kind of unique. So I think it helps me.
It's funny. More time to defy gravity and just kind of buck the brain in terms of what the hitter thinks it's going to do makes a lot of sense. I never really thought about it that way because you're always just pursuing more extension. Generally speaking, you want to get more extension, right? You want it to get
Yeah.
on the hitters more quickly. But if you have this fastball that's weird and you have more time to fool the hitter, it makes a lot of sense because it's going to stay on that line with the vert that you're able to create. And what's funny is you mentioned the chase on the slider. 44% chase rate I've got on that slider this past year, which is, insane, especially for like the type of action that it has, as you mentioned. 67% strike rate. What also stands out to me is, of course, high chase, you're gonna get a lot of swing. 54% swing rate. It the thing that stands out too is the amount of zone whiff as well. How do you feel like it works off? I know you just kind of laid it out, but do you feel like you could throw that pitch, like even if you miss up with it a little bit, that you can still get away with it? Obviously, when I watch you throw, I see a ton of chase beneath the zone. But is that a pitch that you feel like you can almost miss with or have it back up on you a little bit and you're still going to get away with it more often than not? And what kind of confidence does that instill with you if so?
Yeah, I think I usually, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I had one go past the 0 line on the positive side. Like it doesn't technically back up this way ever, but like I'll throw it up in the zone on accident sometimes. Like high and arm side to lefties, I think is like the biggest freeze pitch ever, and I'm not trying to do it like 95% of the time. But I think, like I said, the uniqueness with it and like from that slot, all the factors, I think it just kind of confuses them a little bit. But knowing like I'm confident to throw that in a 3-0 count and or a 2-0 count, like 2-1, 3-2. Like there's no count where I'm uncomfortable throwing it. And I think that kind of puts hitters in a bind too, is like, okay, I got to an advantage count, but now I'm seeing his best pitch. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like,
Yeah.
I should be getting a heater right here. This should be grooved. And not that I'm saying I won't. Like, obviously I do still, but it's like the second guessing yourself. Like, okay, this dude can land this slider at like, I don't know what it was this year at the end of the year, but last time I looked at it, it was like 47% zone percentage. And
Yeah.
like that's pretty respectable to be in the zone, at that clip, especially with the whiff. So it's not something they can be like, oh, see the slider, let's just take it. Like you can't do that. But
Yeah.
I think to go to the confidence side, like, yeah, I mean, being able to throw a pitch in any count brings the most confidence because now I have more options when my back's against the wall. Like my junior year of college, after I tore my oblique, I kind of lost my slider. And I told everyone, like, everyone knew for my sophomore year, though, my best pitch, and I lost it. But my curveball ended up being way better that year. And I like spammed curveball, but I couldn't at that time land my curveball at an above average clip. It was like 30%. It was like not great. Although it's gross and I get 60% whiff, I can't land it enough so they can play okay, beat me with throwing a curveball for a strike. I'm absolutely selling out to the heater. And so I think we saw that happen my junior year.
Well, I was going to follow up with that real quick because you mixed in a curveball about 12% of the time, give or take, this year, and it was a really effective pitch. Obviously, you have a slider that was one of the best performing sliders in minor league baseball, so why not go to it? It's not like you're throwing it 60% of the time; you're throwing about 40. But is there any thought to maybe throwing that curveball a little bit more, or is that something that you just have in your back pocket in case hitters somehow are seeing the slider that day?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like it. I think last year, as my junior year, and then like the right after draft and going out to Lake Elsinore, Like that curveball shape and velo was like outlier. Like that one was, I mean, it was going like -15 on average vert with like no horizontal, kind of like a heater. And it was like from 84 to like 87. Like it was banging. And, but like I said, when I had that, I didn't really have the slider. So it was like, I've never really had both at the same time to the caliber that I want it, but I've always been able to have both. Like, so I think just improving like this offseason shape, I kind of lost it. I threw it more at the beginning of the year this year in high A. I threw the curveball probably 25% maybe. Um, and I really like the pitch. I think it's good. Ruben Yebla actually told me to scrap my slider and only throw my curveball because he saw it in spring training and was like, that and your fastball will get so many outs in the big leagues. Do that. And I was trying to tell him, like, obviously he's only seen me throw it like twice. I'm
Right.
like, I know you're saying this, and I appreciate that. I'm telling you, I have this pitch that no one here knows I have. I had it in college. I tore my oblique. I don't know how to throw it. Please help. Like, I need to get back, to having my slider. And honestly, it was just experimenting. And I found it one day in Fort Wayne with Thomas Eshelman. He's an ex-Oriole, actually, but yeah, just threw it and I was like, oh, that was kind of like the old slider. Like, let's throw that tonight. And I threw like over 50, 60%. And then since then it was like, okay, it's back. Like, I've got it. No worries.
So I was going to ask you because I mean, obviously your first pro off season, you could tinker and you could try and find it again, but it was just like you happened to find it in Fort Wayne during a bullpen session, or was it in game?
Flat ground.
Flat ground.
I'm not like a huge bullpen guy. I throw slow in the bullpens. I don't get locked in as much. And
Yeah.
like, sometimes I feel like it's more counterproductive than anything. I just like, dang it, like the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I always throw a decent amount of off speed on flat ground, and I think it was just getting the feel, like throwing the curveball so much my junior year after the oblique thing, and it was working. It's a totally different release point than the slider.
Yeah.
And so since I was like spamming it right over and over and over again, the slider just naturally wanted to, like, I wanted to get more out in front with it. I wanted to get there. I don't throw from there. Like, I throw from up here. So when I
Mhm.
really got the release point back to here instead of like a little bit more out front, or not, that's when I got the true gyro and like back to right where I wanted it. And then like, no, I've still got the curveball, but I think since I don't throw it as much, it's not as hard all the time. Like, it's like 82, 85 right now, which still fine, especially with the deviation. Like, if I'm getting -15 vert and 22 on the heater, like I've almost got 40 inches of deviation between those two. And then the middle ground with the gyro, like, it's gonna play, even if it's 82, 83. Like y'all are saying, it had good results. I just think like I can land that slider whenever I want. So I want to be like, all right, do you want to take a strike looking or do you want to swing at it? Whereas like the curveball is like sometimes I got the feel for it where I can land it, whenever, but there's definitely days where it's just a chase pitch. Like, I'm just throwing it down. So I think that's how I kind of use them.
One of the last questions for me, it's so fun just hearing you kind of break it down from the analytical perspective as well, but also just from the like it's the combination of the two of like, this is what this feels like for me, but also, we're talking about, vertical separation and the deviation there. How much fun has it been for you to kind of learn that side over the last few years in terms of the data? And I think like for us especially, but we're also, not professional athletes, so it's a little bit more on brand for guys like us to nerd out about it. But you see pitchers specifically, really, I think a lot of them just take a lot of interest in it. One, because it makes you better. More information is just good for you. But it seems like it's also kind of a fun puzzle in some ways too, because you can combine feels with what the track man or the Hawkeye is telling you. How much fun has it been to kind of learn that side of the game? And I'm sure, if there's a guy that I could tell you want to go out there and compete and just, you're just trying to get outs. it might have been a little bit of a new thing to you, especially as you mentioned football driven in the beginning. Like, was there any apprehension in the beginning to kind of learn that what goes into pitch shapes and all of that? And then once you did start to learn it, like how much fun was it to kind of understand how that can help you succeed?
Yeah, I think like kind of right when I went that struggle my freshman year, like I was vaguely familiar with analytics, but I didn't know kind of what everything meant. And I mean, I had all the time in the world. I wasn't pitching, so like I had time to dive deep and ask questions and figure things out. Like honestly, mostly like YouTube and stuff, like
That's
and
cool.
just online, like researching, right? And then Coach Rudy Darrow came in my sophomore year, and he was a little bit more like probably not more familiar with it than I was at the time, but he's the type of guy like once I mentioned it, like okay, now he's all in too. And my personality is kind of like when I get into something, I'm like deep into something. I don't just pick it up. Like I'm going and learning all the ins and outs and going at it every single day, and it's like addictive, right? So I think once I first got introduced to it, it was like okay, let's figure out everything. And kind of like you were saying with the puzzle pieces, like there's so many parts of like analytics. Like analytics are numbers, right? But like if we don't know what the numbers mean, they're useless. So like I think every year almost it seems like okay, we figure out XYZ analytic that's like the game changer. Like when I was a sophomore in or freshman in college, it was like, oh, if you have high spin rates, like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. Like, and then it was like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not just pitch shape or spin rate. Maybe it's pitch shapes. Maybe it's spin efficiency. And then like towards the end, it was like vertical and horizontal approach angles, and then like release angle. Like there's just so much stuff, and like you get the numbers from the machine, but like if you can't put it together, it's useless. And I also think like it there's a point too where it can become detrimental, where
Mhm.
you're so absorbed in the analytics that oh, if my heater is not 21 vert today, I'm gonna get rocked. Like
Yeah.
like you see just on Twitter, like, oh, I've got all this stuff in the bullpen. I've got this in my bullpen. I've got that in the bullpen. Like, I don't like to me, it doesn't matter. I value it and I like to use it as an evaluation piece. But when I'm out there 60 feet, 6 inches away, like I don't care if I have a dead zone fastball, my slider like sucks on Trackman or Hawkeye, like I'm gonna get 3 outs and the end. And then after the game, I'm gonna be refreshing my page, looking for my report, seeing what happened, and in between outings, hey, like let's tweak this. Maybe let's grab the clean fuego. Like let's whatever it is to kind of get me back to where I need to be, but not something in between innings. Like I've got to go get 4 outs, and now I come in, it's like, dude, my vert's down today. Like whatever. Like you can't think like that, or it's just gonna spiral and spiral.
Yeah. Tyson, I got two quick ones for you to wrap for me. We are probably the biggest fans of the Fort Wayne Tin Caps in this space. I spent 2 years there calling some games. What was your favorite part about Fort Wayne, Indiana?
Honestly, I think just kind of the atmosphere that like stadium brings. Early on, it's rough, but it's rough everywhere. It's just so cold. Like no
Yep.
one wants to go out there and watch minor league baseball games. But it's just I don't know. Everyone there just seems like happy. Like I don't know what it is, but it's like there's just something in the air, and the grass like the grass is always like perfect there. The grounds crew does a great job. Sam, the clubby, uh, he's great.
Swirly.
Yeah, Swirly. Yeah, I didn't know if y'all knew him by Swirly or by Sam. But yeah, Swirly. He gets mad if you call him Sam. He's great. Love the coaching staff there, and obviously the players. Like everything about that place, other than it being cloudy, like 95% of the
Mhm.
time, was awesome. It was.
Yeah.
I was like, this is kind of depressing with the clouds. Like it was just too much like darkness. I was like, bring out the sun, son. But I think that's a part of just the early season in uh, Indiana. Like that's
Yeah.
just kind of how it is. So.
Last one from me. I think I found your huddle page. Do I have this right? 485 squat. Were you a weight room like hero? What's going on there?
Yeah, that was probably outdated. I probably didn't update that since my sophomore year, maybe. I get a little more than that, but
Really? So
yeah.
are
My
you
my
still
mom's
kind
a
of lifting like a
bodybuilder.
football player?
What's up?
Are you still kind of lifting like a football player? Like, do you want to kind of max out?
Lost him right there.
Do we lose him?
Spam call.
No sweat. You pick right back up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've always lifted kind of like a bodybuilder or football player. My mom is a bodybuilder, so that helps. And then, like I said, I always thought I was going to play football. So I lift like a football player, lift heavy, like all that stuff. I didn't know like what mobility was till I got to college. It was a joke. Like I don't know how I got as far as I did, like and threw that hard and didn't get hurt. Like it was a miracle. My T-spine mobility was like none. Uh, like hips, nope. But I could lift a house like that. That's all I had. So I think too, like untapping that was huge. Like the mobility side, obviously, just for health and longevity and efficiency. Like, but I think it was kind of good. I had that foundation of strength, right? And then now I find the mobility and understand how to move. And I've got that athletic background and know the way my body moves in space. So it's just easy for me to make quick adjustments.
So were you getting after it in the weight room with your mom?
Not so much like literally with my mom, but like she would go to the gym and we like worked out this bodybuilding gym in Rockwall where we used to live. And it was like it was fine in high school. Like I loved it because I could go in there and just get a sick pump and like max effort everything, like probably ego lift at times and that was all fun. Well, then I get to college and I'm like learning the like mobility side and like maybe I don't need to deadlift 650 pounds. Like maybe I can just move like 405 like really fast, like all this stuff. And then I go back to that gym like my first like college break home. I think it was like Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever. And I'm like, looks just like looking around. I'm like, dude, everyone's looking at me. Like, I'm doing mobility or I'm doing like banded, whatever, just like not the hardcore
Just
bodybuilding
disgusting.
gym stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this is weird. So then I just started working out at the high school so I could work out, solo or with a few buddies so I didn't look
That's funny.
out of place.
That's great. That's great. I would say I think in a bodybuilding gym, I'd imagine mobility in bands is like a cardinal sin. They don't want to see
Yeah,
that.
like what is happening over there?
Last question. Do you know how many extra base hits you gave up with your breaking balls this past season?
I know I gave up to one to my roommate on a slider in Fort Wayne. Um, probably one,
That's the only
maybe.
one.
Yeah,
To
probably
Kalen
one.
Culpepper.
Yep, that was my
Yeah.
roommate.
Oh, that's even funnier.
So
I,
he
I
obviously
yeah.
we faced each other like 100 times.
You're right.
He knows like everything I've got. I know him like, and he's obviously an elite hitter. Like he's not a slouch. And I knew 100% that he was sitting on the slider that Hoiby, but I was like, dude, first pitch, I'm gonna rip one and I'm gonna throw it right below the zone, and he's either gonna foul tip it or he's gonna take it, and like we're good. There's no way. And first pitch, like it was a ball below the zone and like a ball out. It wasn't even a strike. He like goes and it's not like a B swing, but he kind of like lunges at it like Miguel Rojas, like on that homer in the World
Yeah.
Series. It was like kind of like that type of swing. And it was the left center gap, and I kind of thought it was gone off the bat. I was like, there is no way. Like no one barrels that but him. And he barreled it and he gets on second and he's just laughing and I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, I can't believe it. And then I faced them in San Antonio, actually at their place in Wichita. And I told my catcher before I had a up, so I went 2 innings. And in the dugout, I knew I was facing him coming out, and I was like, I promise you, like, do not let me whatsoever shake to a slider when we face Kalen Culpepper. I know, like, obviously it's good. I'm not saying I can't throw it to him, and I definitely will in the future. But I just know, like, I need to throw him not sliders this at bat. And we went into it, and I threw him 5 heaters and punched him out. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I needed. I did not need him to get another hit off me so he could rub it in. So
Yeah, that's
we
awesome.
also have that competitive spirit.
That's amazing. Sorry, I had to follow with one more. That him being your roommate the year that he had, how cool is that to see? Aside from the double that he hit off of you, it makes it even funnier that that's the only extra base hit you allowed on a breaking ball all year. How awesome was it to see him have the year that he had in the twin system? I mean, just absolutely mashed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a roommate of mine, and like he's just a great dude. Like he does everything the right way. He's yes sir, no sir. And early like getting in extra reps, like kind, but he's also got that switch where when he's on the field, like he's in go mode, like don't mess with him, like it's it's cool to watch. Also, my other roommate, this my junior year, Brennan Jones. He's with the Yankees. He's in Double A too, and we all got drafted this past year. And like all three of us are in Double A within the first like month and a half. And I was like, this is sweet. Like, there's no way that's very common to have
No, I'm saying
three
it's not supposed to
roommates
happen
in
in
college to
baseball.
be in Double A in like no time. I was like,
Yeah,
this is sweet.
that's not supposed to happen at all in baseball. So that's awesome to hear. And rooting for all three of you guys. But again, congratulations on such an awesome year this past year. And we're really excited to see how you follow it up this year. And I imagine, a lot of sliders, a lot of chase, and excited to just see you continue with this thing rolling, man. But thank you so much for taking the time, Tyson.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.